I stood under the glittering chandeliers, my heart thudding so loudly I could barely hear the music. The wedding hall was perfect, a sea of flowers, hundreds of flickering candles, my family smiling in the front row, and the man I was supposed to marry waiting patiently at the altar. On paper, it was the happiest day of my life, but my stomach was tied in a knot so tight it hurt to breathe. The truth, the one I'd been swallowing down for months, was simple. I didn't love him. I was marrying Adam because it made sense. He was kind, he was reliable, and everyone, absolutely everyone, adored him. After a string of disastrous relationships in my 20s, my parents had breathed a sigh of relief when I met him. "He's good for you, Leia," they'd said. "You'll grow to love him." And I believed them. Or at least, I tried to. I repeated it to myself like a mantra, hoping that if I said it enough, it would become true. Then she showed up. Her name was Maya. She was the wedding planner my mother hired when I got so stressed I couldn't handle the details anymore. The first time we met, I was a bundle of nerves, and she walked in with this calm, grounding energy that just made all my chaos feel ... seen. She was all quiet strength and effortless confidence, short brown hair, hazel eyes that looked like they held ancient secrets, and a smile that could genuinely steady your heartbeat. We spent the next few weeks side by side, planning every detail of a life I wasn't sure I wanted. We tasted cakes, chose flowers, and argued over color palettes and seating charts. And somewhere between the blush-toned roses and the endless spreadsheets, I began to dread the wedding day itself. Not because of the stress, but because I'd found someone who finally made me feel something real, something electric. And it wasn't my feeling. I tried so hard to ignore it. I told myself it was just pre-wedding jitters, a classic case of cold feet, but the feeling only grew stronger. One night, after a long, exhausting rehearsal, Maya found me crying in the middle of the empty, silent hall. I felt so foolish, but the words just tumbled out. I don't know if this is right, I whispered into the darkness. She didn't offer any empty platitudes or tell me it would all be okay. She just stood there, listening. Then she reached out and gently brushed a tear from my cheek with her thumb. Her touch was so soft, but it sent a jolt through my entire body. "Then don't do it because you think you should," she said, her voice low and steady. "Do it because you want to." Her hand lingered on my face for a moment longer than it should have. Our eyes met. And in that second, the whole world seemed to stand still. All I wanted to do was lean in and kiss her. God, I wanted to. But I was a coward. I was too afraid of ruining everything. Afraid of admitting who I really was. Afraid of being me. So I did nothing. I pulled away. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. And so did I. We went back to being the bride and the wedding planner. The ceremony began. The organ music swelled, and my father held my arm, his grip firm as he walked me down the aisle. The guests all stood, their faces a blur of smiles. I forced one of my own as Adam's face came into view at the altar. He looked so happy, radiant. Even I tried to mirror his joy, but my hands were trembling so badly I had to clench them into fists inside my bouquet. Then I saw her. Maya was standing in the back, holding a clipboard, pretending to be busy with last-minute checks. But she wasn't looking at the clipboard. Her eyes were locked on me, and she looked pale, anxious. I could feel her unease, from across the room. Something was wrong. When I reached the altar, the priest began to speak. His words about love and commitment washed over me, but I couldn't focus. I felt a subtle shift in the air, a small movement behind me. I could sense Maya moving closer, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor. Then, as the priest turned to me and asked the fateful question, "Do you, Leah, take this man?" I heard it, a whisper. So quiet, so close. I almost thought I'd imagined it. "Run." I blinked, my head turning just slightly. Maya was standing just behind my shoulder now, her eyes wide. They weren't afraid. They were desperate. "Run," she mouthed again, her expression pleading. My throat went dry. I breathed out louder than I intended. The guests started to shift in their seats, murmuring in confusion. Adam's smile faltered, replaced by a deep frown. And that's when I saw a flicker of something in his eyes that wasn't love, that wasn't patience. It was fury. A cold, controlled fury that he'd always hidden so well. My stomach dropped like a stone. In that instant, Maya stepped forward and grabbed my hand. The crowd gasped. Her hand was so warm in my cold one. "You don't have to do this," she said, her voice shaking but loud enough for everyone to hear. Adam's voice boomed through the hole. "What the hell is going on?" Everything blurred into chaos. People were talking, shouting. Cameras flashed. I heard my mother scream my name. But in that whirlwind of noise and confusion, all I could see was Maya's trembling hand holding mine. Her voice, soft but steady, cut through it all. "You deserve to be free, Leah. Please." And just like that, something inside me snapped. The years of pretending, of trying to be someone I wasn't, just shattered. I tore the veil from my head, kicked off my ridiculously expensive heels, and before I could second-guess myself, I was running. I ran through the side door, down the long hallway, past the shocked faces of catering staff and gasping guests. Maya ran right beside me, and I could hear her laughing. A breathless, incredulous sound, as if she couldn't believe what we were actually doing. When we burst out into the cool afternoon air, it felt like my first real breath. I was free. For the first time in my entire life, I was truly, completely free. We stumbled towards her car, both of us panting and gasping for air. I looked at her, my mind reeling, half in shock, half in AR. "Why?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Why did you tell me to run?" She looked at me, and her smile was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Tears were glimmering in her hazel eyes. "Because," she said, her voice catching, "I couldn't stand watching you promise your life to someone you didn't love. Especially when I'm standing right here, loving you." The world stopped spinning. Everything came into focus. Then I kissed her. Right there, in the church parking lot, in a ridiculously poofy wedding dress with smeared makeup running down my face, I kissed the woman who had saved me from a lifetime of pretending. It's been a year since that day. People in my old town still talk about the runaway bride. My family barely speaks to me, but I am happy. I am happier than I ever thought was possible. Maya and I live together now, in a small, sunny apartment right above her flower shop. It's filled with plants and laughter and the kind of peace I used to dream about. Sometimes we joke about that crazy day, And sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I wonder what would have happened if she hadn't whispered that one single word, run. It changed everything. Because I did, and I ran straight into the love I was always meant to find. Thank you so much for watching and for letting me share my story with you. If it resonated with you at all, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more. See you next time.